to know. How about that? Is that good? Needs to be adjusted. Try your input. Okay, there. Oh, audio's good. Good deal. Okay, awesome. We can possibly look at doing that, Braxton, if I had them all set up and readily available to basically show you guys. I would. It would take me like a couple of minutes to get stuff out to do that, but maybe I'll do that for Sunday night stream. Maybe. This was kind of just a spur of the moment stream. Nothing really too exciting, just discussing some stuff that's going on. But yeah. So I guess we can dive right in and start talking about basically the title of this. Replant 2020. A lot of you guys have been messaging me on Snapchat and Instagram asking me how our crops, how basically how much we're going to have to replant, if we're going to have to replant any. Put it it's not going to be as bad. I know a lot of you guys probably watch Brian from Brian's farming videos. It's nowhere near as bad as what they're going to have or what they're facing right now, which is quite devastating what they're facing. It seems like they're going to get hammered again with what 2019 basically was for them last year and was for us also in our area. So I definitely feel for them. But fortunately for us, we had some wet spots, basically mostly just low spots, and some areas that showed some slight compaction, which was quite surprising. Compaction has showed up everywhere, and that's what I discussed quite extensively in the last stream. And we actually had one spot in the field right in front of our house, and it's where we had the plot last year. And we pulled the weigh wagon about 80 feet, 120 feet off the lane. And I don't know, we parked the weigh wagon there and we had the semi parked out. I think we had the semi parked out in the field, if I remember right. And where we had that weigh wagon parked, and you guys have seen the seed tender. I mean, the seed tender is nothing huge or nothing like the Unven First or the J&Ms that are out there. But still, you can actually see pass per pass across that field, right where that weigh wagon sat in the field, and where we came up to it with the combine and dumped, and just a very slight indication of some water standing out there, which was quite surprising, but nowhere near as bad as what some neighbors are facing out here. There's quite a few neighbors. Couple of neighbors in our, like right here in our back door here, that are facing some pretty extensive first round of planting. They haven't even got a lot in the ground as far as seed corn goes, and they're facing quite a bit of wet ground. I'm not really going to go into that some more, but I'll take that as far as about right there. But we have fortunately only about maybe 2 acres of corn across everything, and I'd say about the same for beans, if maybe just an acre and a half. There's a spot basically over at the river. There's 2 fields over there. Basically, we just got to go through and replant the ends just because water stood in a spot just due to a county ditch that seems to be that we're at a stalemate as far as getting it clean. So really, that situation's kind of out of our hands. But basically, we've got that spot. There's just some spots where they dumped lime on that north field. There's like 3 spots where they dumped lime, and we got to go through and replant those just due to those compacted areas where they chose to dump the lime. And basically what we're going to do with that to alleviate those spots from going forward is to have a dedicated spot on the filter strip like I discussed on the last stream, and basically dumping the lime on the filter strip and preventing it from being out in the field. So there's that spot, and then back by the pump back there, there's just a little circle back there that we need to just patch in. So nothing too extensive there. There's a spot over there on the field over on Shins that definitely needs to be patched in. Basically, the reason why we've been waiting so long is because at least I'd say about 40% of the corn up there that we were actually going to replant on Shins in this basically in this patch or spot or circle, or in this corner of the field really, actually ended up coming up. So it's just kind of assessing the stand and determining is it worth going out there and replanting, which yes, it is still worth worth it to go out and replant. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And then for beans, like I said, the ends over at that one field on the river, just due to water standing and having a water issue that is basically out of our hands out there on basically for drainage on that farm on that end. And then there's a spot over on Marx's, which kind of sucks. It's on the north of 1250 field, which is the clayiest field that we battle on that farm. And it seems to be one of the toughest fields that we farm to no-till. We've been farming that Mark's farm for about 7 or 8 years now. 7 or 8 years. So and that kind of sucks because it is the 30-inch row bean field. So basically it's just one corner. Well, actually it's really both south corners of that field and some spots on the ends, which, I mean, it's not too big of a deal, but it does kind of suck that we got to patch in on the 30-inch row bean field, which some of you guys are probably like, well, why don't you just take the planter out there and plant them with the planter instead of bringing the drill out? Well, it's just us being lazy to patch in an acre of beans with the planter and swapping the meters out for the bean meters and going over there and planting. So it's just so much easier because the drill's already full of beans. Well, not full, but there is still some beans in the drill from finishing up over at the river. And it's just easier to just go out there and patch them in, because actually that north railroad field where I drilled the beans there on Marx's, there's just maybe like a spot right there on the ends that needs to be drilled. So it's just easier to take the drill over and patch it all in. So yeah, that's basically what's going on right now. I'm just kind of catching up on your guys' comments here. So yeah, we talked to some neighbors today. There's quite a few acres that are going to be needing to be replanted. I'm not going to discuss how many acres. It's a fair amount. We're going to end up sourcing some 688 and 720 for a guy. We've got, I don't know, anywhere from 103 to 112 days sitting out there right now. It's just a matter of quantity right now. So there's some corn getting returned because the guys are switching from corn to beans just due to rotations that they ended up deciding to change, and also due to some basically this time of the year really, and plus looking at the fact that they're just deciding to switch to beans on some of these fields, not due to anything really market related, which a lot of guys thought, or at least a lot of reps thought when we were doing our early rep meetings on online, because we didn't have a Zoom meeting. We actually just had like a teleconference that we usually have, and we were discussing how the market was going to play an effect to rotations on corn and soybeans. And really, a lot of reps were thinking that there was going to be a lot of guys switch to beans. Really, to be honest, we didn't have anybody switch from corn to beans or beans to corn due to any market basically anything to do with the market, really. It was more just rotations and stuff like that, and them deciding that, hey, I want to move this field into beans because of this rotation and stuff like that. It was all rotation oriented, so nothing to do with the market. So, which I was pretty confident that we weren't going to have anything, because it just, I know we know we're really good friends with all of our customers just through farming and everything, and really, I didn't think we were going to have a lot of any guys really switch due to any market things. So, because it was really a lot of guys, some of our guys plant seed corn, so it's all rotation based there. And we pretty much know a lot of our rotations on our customers that we sell. So for the guys over in Illinois, really, how I heard not too long ago, I think it was about a week ago or a week and a half ago, Kankakee, Illinois down there got dumped on with about 10 inches of rain. So how are you guys sitting over in Illinois, and really, for that matter, anybody in the U.S. right now? How are things looking? Geez, 1,200 acres. That's crazy. 200 acres. Wow. If I remember correctly, I don't think it's all based on discounts. I believe it's just across the board. Pioneer has, I believe it's to a certain point on discounts. Pioneer does have I believe a 50% replant policy and a 100% replant policy going from a certain discount stage going up, basically based on your percentage of Pioneer that you buy, I believe. So. But for the most part, all of our customers are pretty much sitting at 100% replant. So as far as replant guarantee, as far as that, they're not 100% replanting. They're, if you guys understand what I mean. But no, we haven't even, to be honest, Thomas, we haven't even, we're not even going to look at patching in any replant until probably Sunday, maybe Monday, if things are still looking a little moist. Really 2 acres on corn and 2 acres on beans. 20 years old. 35,000 acres. That's crazy. I couldn't even imagine. Johnston, Iowa, Dan. I actually have been there. Dad's been there. Dad and Grandpa have been there once or twice, I think, on a Pioneer. Well, how do I even phrase this? Really, it wasn't really it wasn't a tour. It was more of a rep trip. Back when they did a lot of the rep trip things, that was before I was kind of old enough to do any of that stuff, and. They went out to Johnston, Iowa, and I was actually going out west one time, not with Dad, but with Mom. And I'm like, hey, swing through Johnston. Literally, it's right off I-80, and not quite right off I-80. Kind of got to go north a little bit there, and probably about 15 minutes off I-80. And we swung in off I-80, went north there, and it's really cool because they actually have a lot of the research plots right there outside of the headquarters, and it's pretty cool to see. I mean, obviously we didn't go in or do anything. I mean, we just kind of drove along and looked, but it's still pretty cool. There's actually, what's Plymouth considered? Plymouth is one of the world's largest seed production plants in the world, or what did they say? It's not. I know it's in the U.S., one of the largest. I don't know if it'd be in the world or not. I can't remember if it is or not. The Plymouth production plant is literally about 40 minutes east of here, and I've actually went on a tour that last year, which Dad thought I went on a tour before, which I haven't. And last year, they were doing tours with it last year due to the Corteva thing. The Corteva name change out there, and the Dow DuPont purchase and stuff like that. Corteva was throwing out a tour out there So Grandpa and I went over there and did the tour. Obviously, I could not do any filming. I would have done some filming if I was allowed to, but I understood everything out, what they were allowing us to do and stuff like that. So I knew there was no way in the world I was going to be able to do any filming. But it was still really cool to go on a tour and see all that. Now, we didn't get to see, at the time that we did the tour, it was right before seed corn harvest. So there was no, the production really, there was really no activity at the plant. But we did get to see the bagging process and stuff like that. Obviously, that was all not functioning at the time due to the fact that there's really no bagging being done in late July, early August. But so it kind of was a little bit of disappointment there because we did not get to do the full tour because they did not take us back on the plant side as far as seeing the shelling process and the distribution and sorting process of the seed. But they did offer to me to come back, and actually I could have filmed. It was in October, and I told them no way in the world will I be able to come back over there in October to spend a whole day screwing around at the Pioneer plant, even though that would have been a pretty cool video. It just would have never worked out in the time frame. So, So back in the 1980s, Pioneer had quite a few seed corn fields here in central Illinois. We drove when we went to Yetter over in Macomb, I think it was. I think that's what the town was. Macomb. I think it's not Macomb. It's Macomb. Let me pull up Google Maps here, what road it actually was, because we actually took a road across and then we went a different way back just to kind of see some different country across Illinois there. And hashtag plan. It was, where in the world is Macomb? Or Macomb, sorry, Macomb. It is 136, I believe. No, yep, 136. So we took 136 straight across, which is pretty much a straight shot across central Illinois there. And there was quite, remember right after we got through McLean, anywhere between McLean and Fisher, mostly between Leroy and Fisher, there was a boatload of blocks out there. I couldn't believe how big the blocks were out there for seed. It was unbelievable. Rantoul was pretty cool. We actually drove right through Rantoul. That I've never been in Rantoul before as far as stopping through the town. But eventually that would be pretty cool to go down and see the farm show down in Rantoul. Multiple times I've been down to Champaign to go to the Farm Progress Show. I've never been to the Farm Progress Show in Iowa. Dad and Grandpa have been there once on, again, another Pioneer trip. So, and I think that was all part of the Johnston, Iowa trip. That might have been the same trip. So, do you have siblings that farm with you? So I do have a sister. She is 17. She's going to be a senior this year. And she, as far as I know right now, is not planning on coming back to the farm, but she does help. I think, as far as I know right now, her major is what she's considering right now, is criminology. So that's pretty interesting. What's your company booth, Flippin'? I didn't realize you're at you have a booth, or really, or part of a company booth at the Farm Progress Show. I'll have to stop by there. I mean, if we end up going out to the Iowa one, we were thinking about possibly to the Iowa one, but typically, like I said, we always go to the Illinois one just because it's closer. And plus, the Farm Progress Show is just one of those things, for us at least, if we have time. We don't really make time like do for the National Farm Machinery Show and stuff, just because. What in the world's going on? Hold on. My phone's blowing up here. But yeah, so the National Farm Machinery Show, we do make time for, unlike the Farm Progress Show, just because it is right there in September. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, it's right before harvest. And it's kind of like, if we do have time, we'll go. If not, we won't. Oh, that's pretty cool, Flippin'. That's cool. So what is the yield? I think you're trying to say yield difference there between the the drilled beans, comparing those to the planted beans. So So also on the Farm Progress Show, real quick. I don't know. I've heard all farm shows are on right now, but it would not surprise me. Actually, our county fair last week. It is, I believe, what did they? Our fair is 174 years old, I believe they said when they posted it. Yeah, 174. And 174-year-old fair, and they were pushing hard to make sure it was going to stay on. And they ended up canceling after a week ago. They said that they were going to stay on. And that was like right when Purdue released that 4-H was just going to stay on also. So they, since ours technically isn't a 4-H fair, I mean, we do 4-H, but it's not a LaPorte County 4-H fair. It's this LaPorte County fair. And they ended up canceling the fair today. And I don't know, I got word that Elkhart County 4-H fair, they canceled. I'm not sure when, but I found out today from the National Polling League Association. They did a press conference today, and I found out on Facebook there the Goshen tractor pull got canceled. Sucks. But I wouldn't really want to go to begin with and sit in the stands next to a whole bunch of people and potentially get sick. I mean, I really don't feel like that. Neither does Dad. So I don't know. It's a bummer, but I wouldn't probably have gone anyways. So 2 acres on corn and 2 acres on beans, Hillman. So back to the Farm Progress real quick before I jump on the beans. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Honestly, I would not be surprised. Now, if the National Farm Machinery Show gets canceled, I mean, I highly doubt, because hopefully by then this is all blown over. But I highly doubt it, because everything's getting opened back up, which I don't agree. I don't think that's a good idea, because I feel that this thing's just gonna come out of nowhere again sometime in July, and we're gonna have serious problems once again. And that's going to be a lot worse than what it was before. So it'll be interesting, though. So what is the yield, again, going back to this, what is the yield difference when you compare drilled soybeans compared to planting soybeans? Honestly, we did, like I said in a couple streams back, I talked about our sugar trial on the 30-inch row beans versus the drilled beans, and that was with the 4-row. This is our actual first year planting a whole field of 30-inch row beans, at least for Dad and I. And the last time we planted row beans was back before back when Dad was younger than me. And it's going to be real interesting. I mean, I've walked some bean fields today, actually, because we were assessing some replant. And I was walking some beans over at the river that I drilled. And those were dropped at 170,000 on 7.5-inch spacing. Yeah, the stand's thin for drilled beans as far as what we typically used to drop. We used to drop around 180 to 200,000, then we backed it down to 160 to 170,000. And so, I mean, the stand isn't as consistent. Obviously, you're not going to get the singulation like what you can with a planter. So, as far as what we've seen, we haven't seen anything, because this is our first year Right now, I'm very, very impressed with the 30-inch row beans. My money's on the 30s, definitely. As far, I mean, like I said, there's not going to be a true comparison here on comparing drilled to 30s because honestly, we don't even have a comparison out there because what's the point with us putting starter and in furrow and going to be side dressing them at least once, if not twice for sure, or twice possibly. So it's just one of those things where it's like it's already at an unfair advantage. Same with the side dressing. Why compare anhydrous to 28 with thiazole and micros or 32 with thiazole and micros? I mean, it's not a fair comparison, so why even compare it? So, as far as final stand goes, flipping, this is. We actually haven't done any stand assessments yet. I was actually looking at possibly doing some, if possibly tomorrow, if we have time. If not, I'll look at doing that on Sunday. We dropped 142,000 out there. So at least that's what the 2020 was reading. So we're hoping that it was pretty close. Seems to not read singulation at all. I don't know if that's just a sensor change that we need to do for beans for the 2020, but for some reason it didn't seem to read singulation at like whatsoever. That could be a calibration thing also because it could just be set for corn on as far as the 2020 monitoring reading for singulation. I don't know. We never really messed with it. We didn't really bother with it just because all we cared about at that point was the population at that point. So as far as final stand goes, I'm not really sure what we would consider a good shot for on 30-inch rows. Like I said, this is our first year pretty much playing with them. I'm pretty excited with it. As far as yield goes, we're hoping anywhere between 80 and 90. That would be very, very impressive. For those of you that don't know or that are not used to or basically have not heard me talk about our bean yields really, typical bean yield under a pivot would be about 65 bushel, 70. You'll bump 70 on the monitor, 75 sometimes. But dry land yield, that could be anywhere from 0 to 65. I mean, it all depends on the ground and depends on the rains in August, really, just because our area is so dependent on rainfall in our sands. So some of you may say, wow, 65 bushel beans, that sucks. Or some of you may say 65 bushel beans, that's crazy. I've never heard of that. Well, I mean, we for 65 bushel beans under an irrigator, it just does not pencil. Comparing with 250 bushel corn under an irrigator or 250 plus bushel corn under an irrigator, because now we can raise over 250. We figured out how to do that fairly easily now under these irrigators. So it's kind of like, if we can raise 250 plus bushel corn, why screw around with beans under the irrigator if you're only going to yield 65 bushel? But we sit and look at it and say, if we can raise 250 plus bushel corn, there's no reason in the world why we can't raise 85, 90 bushel beans under an irrigator. So in order to justify putting beans under an irrigator, we're seriously shooting for 80 to 90 bushel beans under an irrigator. So it'll be really interesting. I mean, as far as dry land yield goes on 30-inch rows, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That, like I said, that field north of 1250, on Marks is a pretty tough field for no-tilling for what we face. I mean, we've been no-tilling it since we started farming it, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of yields we can pull off of that field. Like I said, we did put down starter. We did put down in-furrow. What we did for starter, it's 4 gallon a thiazole at 12 gallon to the acre. So just straight thiazole. And then for in-furrow, it's the same in-furrow mix as what we do for corn, except there's no 1034-0 in the mix. It's just our straight in-furrow mix at 24 ounces to the acre. And I believe, 24. I need to like write all this stuff down. I know it's over there, literally wrote down on another piece of paper, but I need to like write it down for reference for my notes when I do these streams. But I believe, if I remember right, it was not, 24 ounces to the acre for the in-furrow, just straight in-furrow mix, nothing, no 10-30-40 like what we do with the corn on the in-furrow. But just our straight in-furrow at 24 ounces to the acre. And then what we're going to do is when we come back in, we haven't confirmed the rate yet. We're going to look back on our notes from when we did our agronomy meeting with our agronomists out in Illinois and run straight thiazole with some micronutrients. So no 28 or 32 with that, just thiazole and micros. So we run about 1,700 acres, Porter. And then we do about 1,000 acres of custom harvest work over in Wanata. So that's basically where we're at on bean yields. I mean, I know a lot of you guys have probably most of you guys in this stream have never heard of side dressing beans, probably until you guys listen to me talk on it. We've never heard of it. I've never seen guys do it. So this is going to be pretty interesting. I did do some research. I did talk to some guys on Ag Talk, and I did talk to some guys on Instagram that I talked to quite a bit. And lo and behold, there are a couple of guys out there doing it and are seeing some huge success. The reason why we're doing it is because our agronomists recommended it, and two guys that they work with before we started this year doing this. I've been doing it for a year or two and have seen some tremendously good yields doing this. So we'll see how it goes. They're wide dropping. The one guy was running holders and saw a 25 bushel yield difference putting wide drops on his side dress unit by taking the holders off and going away from them. And I'm not BSing you guys on that at all. I've seen the yield maps on that. And it's amazing. So another guy that they work with has seen a 15 bushel yield difference on that. I talked to a guy out in Nebraska, has similar soil types, do a lot of irrigation. They've seen anywhere from a 20 to 25 bushel difference going from straight just running in high dress, side dress, and going all the way to wide drop side dress, just like what we're going to do. So completely bypassing the colder design and going straight into wide dropping. So it'll be really, really interesting to see what we kind of come across on yield results with these. So yeah, that's basic. I actually have spurred quite a bit of interest in our community on this. When Y drops first came out, Y drops came out, 6 years ago? I think 6 or 7 years ago. Souter brought those to the market. And our custom applicator, Kaiser's, who I referenced in the videos before, they have one or two sprayers. I can't remember, one or two. And at one time, I know they had two. They might be down to one by now. And there was a guy, well, most guys around here with seed corn and everything do a lot of side dressing with their high clearance sprayers with the colder attachment that they put on the front, and do a lot of side dressing that way for seed corn. And then henceforth, swapping out for a detossler unit and doing a lot of custom detossling and stuff like that. And also obviously detossling their own fields as well. A lot of Remington seed in our area. I know I'm kind of getting off track, but I want to kind of touch on that too. There's a lot of Remington seed in our area. Quite a bit of blocks of Pioneer that way, and a lot of blocks of Pioneer down to the south and up to the north also. Bayer's pretty big in our area, so there's a lot of DeKalb. There is some Wyckoff just because the Wyckoff dealer is literally in Valparaiso. So there is some Wyckoff seed also growing in the area as well. So But back to the Y drops. I think it was the second year our custom applicator had them. Might have been the first year. It's been quite some time. But we took the big irrigator field, did some Y dropping on that. Now, granted, we did have the irrigator, obviously with the irrigator. And this was R1. This is back when, there was getting to be a lot of studies first coming out on late season applying N, which was, perfect timing for Greg Souter coming out with the Y drops, henceforth, that basically the whole reason why he came out with this idea for the spoon feeding of late season N and other products. And so I think it was the first or second year our custom applicator had them, and we tried it out on the big irrigator field, and we saw some pretty good results with it. Now, granted, also we turned the pivot on right after he applied it. So not only just because we knew we were afraid of volatilization there, but more just because we were so dry. We worked that right in with our irrigation program and said, okay, go out and wide drop. We're going to go ahead and turn the pivot on then, just because we were just so dry at that point. We need to get some water out there. So we went ahead, turned the pivot on, irrigated that. And that pivot, it's a 10 or 11 tower pivot, and it takes some time to go just a half a circle. So really does suck just putting on 7/10 or 3/4 of an inch out there. And it takes a couple of days to go around. So took some time. But we did see some pretty good results with that. And typically, I'll back up also on that. Typically, what we do for rates on irrigation, our fertigation rate is about 3/4 of an inch. We'll just do that. And that's basically that's basically our fertigation rate as far as when we're fertigating. I'll explain a lot more into fertigating when it comes time to fertigate. I'll have quite a bit of videos on that, because that is something not a lot of hardly anybody does in our area. A lot of guys out west do it. If there's, I believe there's some channels out west that are on YouTube, and or some guys out west that are on YouTube, and have some videos on this. But it's pretty unique for our area because not a lot of guys do it, and I'm surprised more guys don't do it. So, but then our typical irrigation rate, as far as when we're not fertigating, really, is still 3/4 of an inch, really, or 8/10 sometimes. It just depends on the weather. We have done an inch, but really for total rainfall events with the irrigator, we really don't seem to put on no more than like 12 inches per pivot. So we're not dumping the water out there like the drip irrigation guys do, just to keep that soil profile essentially wet all the time, because that's the problem with the drip irrigation. You have to maintain that water profile. Otherwise, if you lose that profile, then you're playing catch up essentially the rest of the year, trying to maintain that profile. Then I'm not a big fan of drip irrigation. I really don't think with the spoon feeding, essentially with the continuous water, you're essentially moving those nutrients down constantly, and corn, it just doesn't, to me, it just doesn't make sense for the spoon feeding. I know it works in some soils, but in our sands, it just doesn't really work. I mean, I really don't think it works as far for our soils. There are soils out there that will definitely yield great results with that, but I'm still a big fan of turning our irrigators on and watching it rain instead of hoping it's raining. But back to the Y drops again. We saw some pretty good results with that. We actually had a neighbor, about 2015 or 16, I think it was, come in with his Miller Nitro and with his colder attachment and do some 40-pound strips out there with nitrogen. And we did a 40-pound strip out in the 40-acre field, 40 on the corner field, and saw some pretty interesting results with that. And that's when we got to looking at this fertigating some more and seeing that we need to do some more extensive fertigation passes with that. And So yeah, we've done them both. We've done the colder late season and we've done the wide drop late season. Both have seen great results. We've actually done some wide drop over at the river. Same thing, saw some great results. And this was all late season. This was all like VT to R2 applying. So, but this will be really, really interesting to see as far as the wide dropping goes on the corn and the beans. Like I said, nobody's really ever thought of wide dropping beans, but it seems to be the logical thing to do. Spoon feeding corn along with spoon feeding beans, henceforth, beans needing a boatload of sulfur and potash. As far as fungicide applications go, we might do a fungicide application. Really, it just all depends if it's money to be made there. Really, we like it just because of the stay green aspect with the fungicide. It's not so much it equates to yield. Yes, it can equate to yield just due to the fact that it's going to allow the plant to mature naturally and henceforth put on more or put more into the grain essentially in a longer period of time, really. With Thar Spot being our area, I don't know if a lot of you guys have ever really heard of Thar Spot. Thar Spot is essentially a new disease out there that will literally completely devastate a field very, very easily. Basically, it's exactly the way it sounds. It's basically looks like tar spots on corn leaves. It's quite interesting. We found this actually the first year. We were actually one of the first ones in the area to find it as far as before Purdue goes. Seems to be that's how it always is for us, that we find some stuff out before Purdue. But then Purdue turns it around and blows it out of proportion with a big study saying that they found it. But that's fine. I don't care. But us and a neighbor found it in one of their, well, really, it was the neighbor right next to us who found it. And then we ended up finding it in one of our fields there right next to him. And we're not really entirely sure the timing of it, really, of when it comes in yet. It's still up in the air, really. But it's pretty devastating. And fungicide seems to be getting bigger and bigger every year. And the way I see it, I could see us definitely applying fungicide to almost every acre. On the acres that we know we will see a benefit on it. Basically, it's just a stalk integrity and the stay green is what the way we see it, really. Not that we have a standability issue to the point, but we know on tougher, lighter sand fields that are drought prone, it would be a benefit for the stay green. But it's just, on our drouthier fields, do you want to be dumping fungicide out there, late season when you're already in a drought? Not really a big benefit there with the plant's already shut down to begin with. So we're just looking at mainly like the river farm and our better grounds to be looking at doing late season fungicide instead of just doing a couple hundred acres here and there, basically looking at doing majority of our ground now with fungicide. Not to say I really don't know if we're going to be doing it this year. It really all depends on the way the market's looking, but I'm pretty sure we're just going to stay with the program, what we've been doing, and just doing a few couple hundred acres here and there. So, but yeah, so back to the Y drops. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I know a lot of guys are messaging me on it. Like I said, the community's really stirred up about it. I've gotten messages every single day, one of which I just got tonight on it. And I actually ended up picking up some custom work with it, which I figured I would get some custom work with this applicator on doing this on the Y dropping. And I wouldn't be surprised I end up getting some more, if not this year, eventually probably next year. I wouldn't be surprised. But it'll be really interesting to see where this goes. I wouldn't be surprised if more guys end up doing this in our area. The way we see it, it's basically less maintenance on a applicator in general. Not that there's a heck of a lot of maintenance to begin with on an applicator, but it just seems to be the smarter and more economical way to apply fertilizer, really, in season. So let's go back to the comments here. I don't believe the 2020 will do singulation on beans. That's what we were thinking. Like I said, this is our first year. One, planting beans with the planter, Dad and I. And two, we've never ran beans through the 2020 before. So that's what we were thinking. But we just didn't really bother checking in on that. So 36 bushel beans is the county average for soybeans around here. I believe county average for here in LaPorte County is around 40 to 45, I want to say. The 2020 seemed pretty close for us on population because it seemed like we could, and plus it just seemed to, those brush meters planted really good. It seemed like all the boxes emptied pretty even. I was very surprised on that compared to corn, really. And we could do about 20 acres on a fill up on beans. So how late season are you going to Y drop? So on corn, they recommend, we talked to the guys down at 360, and this is another thing that we talked to them about, is whether or not to go with a 15 row or a 17 row unit. They said you could get away with a 15 row unit, and that's basically what we ran on anhydrous. And we talked to them about a 17 row unit and discussing the 1.5 rate on an outside row. And they said if they were going to set up a row unit, or basically a unit, that the ideal way to do it is do a 17 row unit. That way every side of each plant out there gets hit with the Y drop. If you guys understand what I'm kind of saying there, on the basically every side, with the outside row, with the Y drop being on the very outside, it's literally on the outside of the field, and it will actually catch that very outside of the field. So basically every plant, either side of it, is going to get hit with the Y drop, which basically that's what they recommended. They said you could get away with a 15 row unit, no problem at all. But they said if you're going to do it correctly, well, not necessarily correctly, but if you're actually looking to do it more extensively, like what we want to do, go with a 17 row unit and you'll be happy. So it'll be interesting to see how we like that. If all else, we might end up going to a 15 row, but I'm pretty confident we're going to be pretty happy with 17 row. So I'll be talking more about that when we get into side dressing and stuff. So, but as far as late season goes, really corn, your limiting factor is basically the height of your applicator and the height of your tractor at that point. And basically, the way we see it is, and the way 360 told us, shoot anywhere between shin and knee high on corn. And as far as beans go, we haven't really, 360, to be honest, has not done any Y dropping studies as far as Y dropping fertilizer with their Y drop units. They've done fungicide studies, obviously, with their 360 undercover. Now, as far as early season fungicide goes, and putting undercover on our applicator, I don't see us doing that just because I don't see a benefit for our operation in our part of the country. I do not see a benefit at all because we do not seem to have any early season disease pressure. As far as fungicide goes, applications go that early. Like I said before, our really only pressure as far as disease goes at this point is maybe some gray leaf spot. Our gray leaf spot numbers seem to be pretty low. Northern corn leaf blight's pretty darn low. But our tar spot numbers are pretty high. It's almost a given that we're going to have tar spot in one of the fields. But that's why we're looking at more and more fungicide more and more seriously every year. So, but as far as beans go, to be honest, I don't know. I'd have to look back at our notes. As far as staging goes, I think we're just going to run it all off of staging and do that, because really, bean height shouldn't really be too big of a deal as far as side dressing goes. I highly doubt we're going to have any issues on that unless we're doing some crazy late season stuff and these beans get crazy tall with the irrigator. Because I've had beans, we've had beans before get up to literally I'm 5'8", and I've had beans literally up to my shoulders before. I remember that on the one field on the 40 on the corner. Actually, that was 2015. I think we had beans there, and they were up to my shoulder. 65 bushel beans, and yeah, up to as tall as my shoulders. So pretty crazy. So looked like 85 bushel beans, but 65 bushel typical irrigated beans. So. But yeah, that's as far as what we're going to do on the staging. Just one shot on the corn, one shot on the beans for sure, if not possibly two. I doubt we do any second shots on corn. If we were to do another shot on corn, or eventually look at doing shots on the corn, basically, we do all of our extra shots on corn on our irrigated fields through fertigating. Which, like I said, I'll discuss more if you guys have no clue what fertigating is. It's basically injecting fertilizer from a tank through basically a little pulsating piston pump through the well point and right into the irrigator stream. So it's pretty interesting. Not a lot of guys do it in our area. Quite a few guys out west do it though, especially in like Nebraska, Kansas, and I think parts of Missouri and stuff. It's pretty common. So, but yeah, that's if we were to do any extra shots on dry land eventually with a high clearance sprayer, it would be nice to have Y drops of our own. It's just trying to see with more acres to make them basically pay for themselves. I know you can make them pay for themselves fairly easily with the yield increases. It's just the investment of the high clearance sprayer. So. How many standing water spots do you have? At this point, virtually right now, hardly any, just due to the temps we've been having, Evan. I don't know how you guys are faring up north of 30 there, but we're probably about in the same boat, but probably not as bad as what you guys are. But yeah, it's pretty minimal at this point, thankfully, and we're gonna probably only have a couple of. We're just, as of right now, it's looking like we're just gonna have 2 acres on corn and at most 2 acres on beans. So. That's basically what we're going to look at trying to do, Jack, is try and stack the nodes the best we can. I know Chris, commented earlier on the Cobra, which I wanted to make sure I got back with him on the Cobra thing. For the Cobra, I know there's been a couple of guys in the area. Some actually do it religiously, doing the Cobra shot and trying to get those nodes stacked better on the beans to help increase yield, which I know there is a benefit there. It's just trying to determine that window there on the best time to apply the Cobra in order to basically flash those beans in order for them to stack the nodes closer together in order to essentially increase your overall yield. We've actually, we experimented with it slightly. It wasn't really more of an experiment to stack nodes. It was just more to try and alleviate some escape mare's tail. And we ended up flashing some beans pretty good because we just used the labeled rate there. We didn't go any off-labeled low rates on there. Like I know some guys do just to flash them and not really burn them too bad. But we flashed them pretty good and actually saw some pretty decent 65, 68 bushel dry land bean yields on this, that Mary Lou field that we've been farming ever since. So I think this would be the 6th year now we've been farming that. So really, Tim, that's crazy. What whereabouts are you located at, Tim? Just scrolling back through the comments here, trying to make sure I don't miss any of you guys. Sorry if I do miss your guys' comment. If I do end up missing a comment, be sure to tune in on the stream on Sunday, and I'll try and get your question answered then on that stream. Do you think corn prices will go up even with the good planting season? I wouldn't say it's a good planting season. At least for us, we had a pretty decent one. As far as overall planting season, I think it's going to be interesting. I know quite a few areas had some pretty good ones, but it's hard to tell. I mean, demand is coming back a little bit with ethanol slowly coming back. Exports are starting to come back very slow. Oil's starting to come back very slow, which it stands to reason. Everything's coming back slow. But I mean, at least it's opening back up some there. Do I agree though? Again, with everything opening up for like states and everything, I really don't know if I agree with that. But it's out of my control. So Dad and I have hardly gone anywhere. It feels pretty awkward being out anywhere, really. So. But I'm sorry, I was just reading a couple of comments there, Hillman. But to go back to your comment on the corn price, I don't know. I've heard some guys joke and some guys act serious that it's going to go to $5, and I highly doubt that. You know, we said that last year, and it barely skimmed 5. We got up to what, 475, I think, 450, and a lot of guys should have pulled the trigger then, us included. But I don't know. Crazy. Why dropping? Yeah, it's a small window, I feel, and plus it's rainfall dependent. Really, I really don't agree with Souter's thought on the dew off the corn leaves. I really don't know if I agree with that. For us personally, we really don't see that. Maybe in Illinois they do, but for us we don't. So I don't know. It'll be interesting though. I know a lot of guys don't do this typically, the Y dropping with the side dress applicators. So it'll be interesting. Effingham, Illinois. I heard you guys were pretty hard hit over there, Tim. Yeah, that's quite a few guys I've talked to from Effingham have said the same thing. I can't believe that. That's crazy. So what are you guys down there in Kentucky farmer? So how far out also is wheat harvest in Kentucky? Hi from Australia. How's it going, McRae? I'd say your count. Wow, 25% planted. That is crazy. Wow. We did the same thing, Chris. We were when it started going down, we were at 375 and we were ready to dump everything out here in the bins. And next day, right, because it was past close and we couldn't call it in. And next day, right when we called it in, that's when it the bottom just fell out of it and it just kept dropping. And so we still have corn in the bins. And not full because we did haul some out in January and stuff, but yeah, we still have corn in the bin. I know Braxton was on, Evan. Holy cow. 9 inches of rain last week and 3 inches. Wow. Jeez, you guys are wet. Wow. Yeah, I know some guys that have some 2018 crop in the bin. We always clean our bins completely out before harvest, so we don't have any 2-year-old crop. Or I know there's some guys out there that even have 3-year-old crop. There was some guys I know that had 3-year-old beans in a bin. Wow. Sounds like everybody got anywhere between that 6 to 10 inches of rain all in 1 week. That's crazy. So, on my other screen here, right before the stream, I was looking up the product that we're actually going to go pick up from Helena. We're actually going to go pick up a product tomorrow from Helena that we used last year. It's called Elemax. It's a sulfur product, Elemax sulfur LC product, and basically it's just a thiazole product that we're going to mix with Roundup and basically go out there on the 40 on the corner. The 40 on the corner field, basically we put down 100 pounds of AMS for our sulfur out there ahead, and we did end up putting some sulfur back in the starter this year, just a little bit. And basically what we're seeing now is we found a way to kind of bypass or kind of yellow corn syndrome that we've seen. I've touched on that slightly before. Gypsum seems to alleviate that very well. Some of you guys might have no clue what I'm even talking about. Some of you guys are pretty more than likely know what I'm talking about as far as the gypsum goes, or what gypsum is, I should say. And typically we apply about 100 pounds of AMS to kind of get around that, but it seems now that our 100 pounds of AMS isn't really cutting it. So we were actually, because we have 550 gallon of thiazole left over from planting beans, which I don't really know how that ended up happening. We were running the exact rate, and the rate was reading correct. It's just we ended up with extra thiazole. So no big deal. We figured we were just going to wide drop it or mix it in with the 28 anyways, because that was the plan anyways, to mix it in with a 28 or 32 and do on the corn, the 28 or 32 with thiazole and micros. So we figured no big deal with that. But since this is getting a slight yellow flash to it, we were going to go out there actually next week and start wide dropping with thiazole, just straight thiazole, and then come back later and do the 28, our actual side dressing, and do the 28 thiazole or 32 in thiazole, depending on if that, which I imagine that field's going to get hit with 28 instead of 32. Really, there's not much of a difference between 28 and 32. Just less product you got to handle with 32. But anyways, we'll just go in there and do straight thiazole with the wide drops. But then we decided last year what we ended up doing, because with all the rain events we were having, our AMS got washed away quite quickly because of how early in the season our AMS was applied, because we actually do quite a few products variable rate. We get our MAP or BAP variable rate. We get our AMS variable rated and stuff like that. Right, that is not variable rated. Sorry, let me back up on that. That is a straight 100-pound rate on the both corn and beans. But going back on the last year, what we ended up doing to alleviate that sulfur issue, or kind of get through that, we ended up doing we ended up using this Elemax product because we ended up calling Helena up and asking them, because we knew there was a product out there to do thiazole mixed with herbicide, and they recommended this Elemax, and this actually did a pretty good job. So Dad said that we're going to go ahead and instead of wide dropping that thiazole like what we discussed earlier today, he brought up the idea, let's just go get some Elemax first thing tomorrow and look at doing that, mixing that with Roundup to go after that grass out there a little bit, because there is surprisingly, the grass is just taken off. It's just unbelievable how this grass is coming out, and we're going to go after the grass out there with just some Roundup and this Elemax, and we're not going to. I don't think we're going to put the cinch out there at all, because one, I don't think you can mix cinch with this, and two, it's just a little too early to be looking at doing a cinch. Well, actually, did we even have cinch figured for that field? We might have not. We might have just ended up putting. We might end up just doing the realm Q pass on that. Yeah, we might end up just doing the realm Q pass on that field, because we might not have cinch figured for that anyway. So yeah, we're looking at using this Elemax product here. I was just doing some label research here just to kind of remember on the label, because actually Dad and I, both of us, cannot remember the labeled rate. So just to kind of figure out how much Elemax we're actually going to be needing here. So for some reason, there really is no rate here. So for those curious, Elemax is a 1050 with 10% sulfur in it. Where in the world is the label? Why is it not giving me the label? Should give me the label right here, and it's not. Elemax, let's just Google it and give me the label. There we go. Nope, nope, not that. Right, nope. Right there. That'll give me the label. But yeah, so that's basically what we're looking at for the thiazole alleviation, to kind of limp our way through that. We really just need to go back to using more gyp. So yeah, your guys' corn looks pretty good. I've seen talked to quite a few guys down there and seen some pretty good pictures of corn. Corn down in Texas looks really good too. Talked to quite a few guys down there, and corn's looking really good down there. A lot better than what it did last year for them. Okay, here we go. Label, label, label. What is the rate? Corn. £1 to 3 pounds. Question is, how many pounds of product? Okay. Okay. All right. Well, got that figured out. So how early can you plant beans? Are you asking, like, for us in our area? Going back on basically beans also, bean maturity for us, what we plant, we have a guy that actually plants 1-9 beans. And that's actually not just double crop. He actually does first crop beans with those too. He'll do 1-9 first crop. And actually, his double crop beans are actually going to be a 2-1 or 2-3, I believe, this year. But we, in general, sell anywhere between a 1-9 and a 3-3, 3-4 bean. We ourselves plant for first crop anywhere between a 2-5 and a 3-3. We plant for double crop around a 2-1 to 2-4. We haven't really got ballsy enough to go down to that 1-9 range, but we might end up looking at that more and more in the future. So, but how early do we plant? Early planting for us is around April 15th. There was some guys that got really ballsy and did some April 1st planting, but we can. And some got away with it. Some got completely froze off. But we did some April 18th planting before, drilled, and saw some pretty good success with that. But This year, we seem to start around the same time every year, and it's around April 24th, April 25th. I think this year we started on April 24th, and I think last year we started on the 25th. So, like I said, it's the same window roughly every year that we start. So, for us too, Evan, I mean, it was unbelievable. I mean, it seemed to go the quickest it's ever been. So, how many acres of wheat do y'all have to cut this year? So, we have 40 acres that's irrigated, 30 acres that's non irrigated, all in the same farm, and two different fields, 40-acre field and a 30-acre field, both down on Grandma's. And then we've got 27 acres of rye on one field and my field of 20 acres of rye. So we got about 47 acres of rye. And yeah, so 47 acres that we're going to keep for cover crop seed and sell quite a bit of it. We're just going to keep about, I'd say about 800 acres worth of rye for us, and then and sell the rest. So basically what I'm projecting at 80 bushel rye, 80 at 47, we're looking around about 35 to 3,700 bushel of rye. And I don't know, let's just say 800 bushel off of that. We're going to sell about 3,000 bushel of rye. So let's just say 3,000 at $9 a bushel. I mean, that's $26,000. That's pretty impressive for sand fields. I'll tell you that. That's pretty impressive. Yeah, and that's not cleaning. That's just basically what they consider bin run. Obviously, we don't put it in the bin. You know, they just classify it as bin run rye. So. Would we look at investing in a cleaner someday and selling it for a higher price with cleaning? Possibly. I would like to get into this fairly big and look at having like 5 to 10,000 bushel of rye that we sell. But I don't know. Time will tell, I guess. And if we can crank the yield on these rye fields like I know we should, and looking at estimating at what these rye fields look like, we should be getting the yields that we're projecting. So it's all just fingers crossed that we get the rains in June. So, oh yeah, for sure, Thomas. I'll have videos out on wheat harvest for sure. So videos are going to pick up immensely here. Basically, the reason why videos just have not been out basically is just because we're on a slow period right now. We've never really experienced a slow period like this. In a long time, so it's pretty weird, honestly. Yeah, overall, there was some great weather stretches in there, and if you were able to plant in those windows, it worked out pretty good, honestly. It was all about timing this year, really, at least for our area. I really appreciate it, McRae. Basically, I just try and keep it as real as what I can because I know a lot of guys watch my channel to essentially better their operations and kind of learn off of basically some of the stuff we do. Because I know one of the biggest things a lot of guys are watching us at right now is because of the wide dropping or side dressing beans, and I don't know, the wide dropping side dress unit that we have right now. But thanks for stopping by, Flippin'. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your channel also. So, but yeah, so that's, I feel that sets me apart a little bit. I don't know if that's what puts the nail in the coffin on my views, or basically that on my views and also on my subscribers. But I do the best I can, and I feel my videos are pretty good. But I don't know. I do the best I can. Kentucky, we're going to put on just straight thiazole with micros. As far as what micros and stuff, that is to be to be determined. basically with tissue and soil testing. So we'll do that late season, or not late season, but later in the season. So. Put liquid P&K down with pointer, and we have really good luck with that program. So, what kind of first off, Tim, what's your row spacing? Second, what kind of yields are you seeing on that? And what is basically your blend of fertilizer that you're running in rate per acre and stuff like that? If you want to disclose that, I mean, I'm not forcing you or twisting your arm or doing nothing. I mean, that's fully up to you. If you want to keep that private, that's fine. Just trying to bounce idea. I've been talking about bean yields quite a bit with guys because mainly, like I said, we're not really shooting for the moon, but just shooting for a higher tier essentially on bean yields. So I've been talking to quite a bit of guys on Instagram and Snapchat about bean yields and stuff for the past couple of years. So basically, what we've been growing, Jack, it's nothing special. It's just cereal rye. It's nothing hybrid, nothing genetically modified or anything. I mean, it's just regular cereal rye. Basically, we do a fertility program, the same fertility program that we do with the wheat. We do split applications, split 28 applications on the rye, same time we do the wheat. Fungicide application. Fungicide actually just is going on tonight. And first thing in the morning, also, our neighbor that applies it for us, he literally just got done with mine and was swinging past to do the other field. So stopped by tonight and we talked with him for a little bit there. So, but yeah, we're seeing some pretty good rye yields. We haven't hit 80 bushel, but this year it's looking like we're going to be hitting 80 bushel very easily. Everybody's been talking about how good our rye looks. But like I said, fingers crossed, excuse me, that we get the rains in June. So. Sounds good, Tim. I'll shoot you a DM. Yeah, I'll shoot you a DM on there. So, corn market, no. I think we're going to be in this window for the next couple of years. I hate to say it, but typically for our area, we typically only do that on the irrigated fields. So, just depending on when the wheat decides to come off, I know it seems to be the wheat is going to be coming off later than usual. According to my custom harvest friends down south, they're saying that the wheat's coming off pretty late, and there's been a lot of freeze damage actually in the wheat, and they've been leaving quite a bit of wheat out in the fields, from what I hear. Yeah, live stream definitely on Sunday, if not possibly Monday. So that is the plan. This was kind of just a spur of the moment stream. And video, I should have a video out tomorrow. We're actually going to do some work to the applicator. Basically today, we just ended up doing some replant assessment this morning, talking with some customers, getting an idea on how things are looking around, and what we're going to be needing to source for seed, if we're going to need to source for seed at all, and we will end up sourcing for some seed. And also ended up doing some cinch spraying this afternoon on some corn, and I ended up working on doing some wiring, basically tidying up some wiring, the wiring harnesses and stuff like that for the rate controller, master switch and stuff like that for the applicator and the 8530. And so yeah, tomorrow we're going to work on the applicator some more, get that around, get some orifices ordered, and get that thing set up and ready to go. And I'm going to work on some. I'm going to work on. Geez, I can't even talk. My throat's getting a little dry, guys. Work on adding something also to the applicator, also, and I'll get a video out on that. Hopefully Sunday around 10 a.m. So our P&K application system on no-till ground. that I'm going to save George for another stream. I'll have to do a complete dedicated stream on talking about our fertility program on no-till ground, because I know a lot of you guys are very intrigued on our fertility program as far as the differences on what you need to be doing if you want to no-till or looking at no-tilling or are no-tilling and struggling, what your fertility program needs to be. I will say this, just to kind of throw this out there, just one tip right now on this stream. If you're going to be no-tilling and no-tilling in the cereal rye, be putting 50 pounds in that nitrogen down with the planter at least. That's one of the big things out there. But like I said, I'll do a whole dedicated live stream. Actually, I would like to have Dad on this also when I do that. So that will actually be a really, really good stream then. As far as when he's going to end up being on the streams, I wouldn't be surprised in the next couple of weeks. I wouldn't mind breaking him in on this and teaching him the ropes on this, because it took me a little bit here to kind of get used to understanding the live chat and doing all this kind of stuff like this. So, but it's pretty cool. I'm glad I could talk to you guys like this. So, yeah, typically down in your guys' area, Kentucky, double cropping beans is pretty common. Up here, it's basically we're kind of at the very borderline here window of double cropping, whether we can or can't. So it's kind of like that July 8th deadline. If we can't get the beans in the ground by July 8th, you might as well not even do it. So. Just gonna scroll back through the comments here. Gonna run the stream till about 10:15, 10:30. We'll see how it goes. So we'll just kind of scroll back through the comments here real quick. Like I said, if I did miss your comment, I'm truly sorry. Again, I will have a stream out Sunday. I'll have the discussion board stream question thing, discussion board thing up on the community tab here, either late tonight or tomorrow. For you guys to post questions for that stream. Like I said, this one was just more of a spur of the moment stream that way. That's because I did not have any streams on here. Blake, why didn't you message me on this? What the heck? But yeah, so we'll run this to about 10:15, 10:30, just depending on how questions go. And yeah. Oh, are you going to upload on the Pilot of the Countryside soon? Enjoy those vids. Yeah, I'm going to upload a video I did recently for a neighbor on there. That way she can share it more to family and friends on there. Yeah. That's pretty cool, Kentucky. Yeah, he does. I've watched quite a bit of his videos actually down there, just of wheat harvest mainly down in Kentucky, because that's mainly what's pretty cool to watch from his channel is just the wheat harvest in Kentucky videos. So has he actually filmed your guys' farm at all, or is it mainly the bigger operation down there? I can't remember the name of it. It starts with a G, I believe. That operation, I can't think of it. I offer out to come up and film on ours, but he didn't really decline it, but he never really would get back with me on whether or not he would or not. He did say he would like to, but he just never would get back with me on a window of when to do it. So yeah, Garnet, that's what it is. I couldn't think of the name of it. I knew it started with a G. I just couldn't remember it. So. So sweet corn stands, basically poor stand, mainly due to 1-year-old seed. Also, poor meters. The meters definitely needed to be looked at before, and just never took the time to take them off this year. And they're just expensive. They're not necessarily expensive to do, but for just sweet corn, it's really not a necessity to have them get run through. And yeah, so should have germ tested it. Basically, germ testing, you can take 10 cups and see if they all germinate. And seed germinates, that's good. And basically, you can figure a 10% thing. So if you have 10 cups and 8 out of the 10 cups have corn come up, 80%. So, I mean, it's one of those things. I just never took the time to do it just because just never took the time to do it. And plus, there was hardly any seed left. And I figured, you know what? If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And I wasn't really planning on selling too much this year just because it's a complete flop. People in the community quit kind of buying from me. Just, I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things where they don't. They complain that the sweet corn's not up there, and when you take the sweet corn up there, they don't buy the sweet corn. So it's kind of like, why fill the gator up completely full of sweet corn and leave it up there and end up coming back and dumping 3/4 of it out in the field because it sets up in 85-degree weather all day, and it ends up being, at the end of the day, not worth saving for the next day because, let's face it, who wants to eat day-old sweet corn? So you get up, you pick it real early, you get completely soaked wet in the morning, take it up there, and you'll get some that are pretty dedicated to buying it and really appreciate you having it up there, and then the rest are just kind of like, whatever, I'll get some later and never end up getting any and complaining that it's not up there. It's just like, well, too bad. I'm not going to screw around with that and waste my time essentially doing it. I will tend to my friends, though, that I either teachers or stuff like that my aunt was friends with and stuff like that, and deal with those, or neighbors and stuff like that. But I'm not going to deal with people that are just going to complain that, oh, gee, why isn't the sweet corn up here? Well, frankly, the corn isn't ready. I mean, when it's ready, I'll take it up there. And then when you take it up there, you turn around and bring 3/4 of it back. And it's just like, it's like, really, why even waste my time doing it? So, and that's also Roundup corn. So that is expensive corn to buy too. It's like $350 a pop for bags. So it's like, wow. But yeah, I mean, if you have enough plantings and enough acres out of sweet corn, you can easily get an ROI on it, but not if people are just going to screw you over like that and not even buy any. So not even waste my time doing it anymore, really. Just raise enough for ourselves and raise it for landowners and stuff like that, and neighbors and friends. But otherwise, I'm not planning on really selling much. So just frustrating stuff like that. Well, just because comments have kind of died down a little bit, like I said, this was kind of a spur of the moment stream. Be sure to like it on the way out. We're going to go ahead and run this till 10:20, unless we get some good discussion going on here. But it looks like we'll just run this till about 10:20 then. So I'm going to scroll back through the comments here one last time and see if I missed any, make sure I didn't miss any of you guys. Like I said, next stream, Sunday, discussion board should be out tonight or tomorrow first thing for that stream. So if you guys have any questions you want me to make sure I hit on, post them onto the comment section of the discussion board comment posts I'll make on the community tab. So really appreciate it, George. Hope you have subscribed also. Oh man, guys, it's gonna be one of those years for sure. Crazy, crazy. I'm pretty sure I hit most of them, I think. You think, yep, got that one, got that one, got that one. That's crazy, Bradley. Whereabouts are you located? No tobacco as far as I know. Hemp production, closest one I know of is down in Monticello, Indiana. Um, don't plan on raising any hemp here on Werner Farms. Don't plan on really a lot of guys raising a lot of hemp in LaPorte County to begin with either. So, have you got combine service and ready to go yet? Combine still needs to be washed. Hate to say it, still needs to be washed from uh, last fall. I hate to say it. Um, just haven't had time, to be honest. Just haven't had time. So, even though we've had the slow period, basically this opportunity of the slow period has given us time to meet with our customers more and basically get returns around. We actually have all the pro boxes sitting here at the farm already flipped. Not all of them are back yet because some guys are still planning. But we've got them all flipped, which typically we don't even have those flipped till like middle of June, which is after side dressing typically. Usually we're done side dressing definitely by June, definitely by Father's Day typically. But this year, I don't know. I mean, with side dressing being able to go so fast with the wide dropping, and plus, not having to deal with tanks and stuff like that, I don't know. It'll be interesting. Who knows how this will all be drug out or fly by? Who knows? So, if I were an investor, would you buy a family farm today, Long Beach, Indiana, by Michigan City? Really? You're not too far from me. Long Beach, Indiana. So, to answer your question, yes, I feel uh, investing in farmland, in my opinion, is a good investment. Very, very wise investment, in my opinion. Now, if you invest in some farmland down by me, John, I would greatly appreciate it if you consider me or Werner Farms in general as a contender for running some of the running your ground. I would greatly appreciate it. Actually, there is literally, I kid you not, John, two 40-acre parcels right next to the farm for sale. If you want to buy those, that'd be pretty awesome, and I'd farm them from you. Um, yeah. I know there's two 40-acre parcels there. I don't know of any in the area, though. Otherwise, on that, I'd have to do some research to see what's out there. As far as we know, there's nothing else really. So, what is the cost per acre? I believe what they're asking is around 9,000 an acre. That is what they're asking, I believe, 9,000. Which technically that's what it's worth. In all honesty, I mean that's what it is worth. It's got irrigators on both fields, 2, 3 towers. One has a well on it and electric, and the other does not have either. Basically, it pulls off of one field. So basically, in order to irrigate on the other field, you throw a valve and the water gets channeled over to the other field then for the other irrigator. So, but yeah, I'd be game for that if you. As far as that goes, John, you would have to email me on that. As far as rent goes, I prefer not to discuss the rent in front of 72 other people. But yeah, I mean, honestly, if you were to email me on that, my email is listed below if you are actually seriously interested in it. I know my dad's best friend is actually bidding on it. It would be interesting, though. If you ended up with it, that'd be kind of interesting. Would be really cool to work with somebody that's a fan of the channel and develop a long-term relationship there and end up farming it under you. That'd be kind of cool. We have 50 acres of early beans left to plant when it dries. So what do you consider early beans, Nick? We'll just keep this discussion rolling. I mean, if you guys want to keep the stream live, we'll just keep it rolling here. I mean, honestly, I was going to end it around 10:20, 10:30, but if you guys want, we can just end up keeping this going here on ground prices and stuff like that. I'm not going to discuss like our total cost production and stuff like that, or like what John was wanting. You know, I understand, especially from an investing standpoint. You want to know. I totally understand on that, on the cost per acre, as far as your return on investment there, as far as what rent would be. But yeah, definitely email me on that. We can discuss more on that. So definitely. Got to keep it under wraps, Evan. They're not next to the farm, put it that way. They're close. I mean, they're not next to it by any means. So. Same in our area, Tim. There was 80 acres that we used to farm and got rented out from under us, sadly. Basically, just a lot of backstabbing there, which is really frustrating. I mean, you do the best job you can, you develop a long term relationship with the landowner, and they turn around and say stuff that's not even whatsoever to the point true at all, and essentially rent the ground out from under you, plain and simple, or in in the whitest words I can actually say, and non-irrigated also, Tim, same, $12,000 an acre, and you look at that and say, how do you pencil that at $3 corn? And it just doesn't make sense. I don't know. And it's decent ground. We farmed it before. It's pretty good ground for dry land. But what do you do? I mean, it's a 5,000 acre operation, buying ground left and right, putting irrigators up. I mean, I don't know. Hard to compete. I mean, it is. I mean, it's hard to compete, plain and simple. But you do the best you can. You develop the relationships that you can, and hope for the best, and hope that there's opportunities around every corner, and keep your head up. That's the easiest thing you can do. If my email isn't listed, I don't know for sure because I'm just in the live stream mode. John, let me know. Actually, I will post my email in the comments. I don't know why I didn't just do that for you to begin with. Also, shout out to, I hate to do this so late in the stream. Shout out to Penland Farms and Farm Life South Dakota. They sent me. I'll just go and grab it. They sent me, between the two of them, Penland and Farm Life, they sent me some hats and a t-shirt. So shout out to Farm Life South Dakota. This was actually a custom hat by him. I got to pick the colors on it. Actually, I did not pick the stitching. He picked the stitching on it, but I did get to pick the dark green, forest green back. So shout out to him. I'll be wearing that in the YouTube channel videos eventually here. And to be honest, I didn't even know Penland Farms was sending me this stuff. They just dropped this in the PO box for me. And yeah, so I'll be wearing this. This is actually a really cool hat. They sent me a dark charcoal with blue mesh back and navy with the blue mesh back also. Pretty cool. And then hate to say this, but the shirts are too big, Penland, if you're watching this stream. Shirts are too big for me, but Dad offered to he liked them, and he actually said, go ahead and cut the sleeves off, and he'll wear them as sleeveless. So pretty cool shirts. 2XL and an XL. XL is too big for me. I only wear like a size medium. So, but yeah, shout out to those guys. Appreciate that. I will be dropping the PO box in the comments for you guys also. I should have shouted those guys out in the beginning of the stream, but I just completely slipped my mind there. But there is my email, and I will send the details for the PO box. If you guys want to send me anything, feel free to send me anything. Whatever. I honestly don't care. I mean, it's in the PO box, and I check it about once a week. So honestly, you're not far off there, Tim. I mean, high cash rent. Yeah, honestly, it is almost easier to pencil than $600 land payments. Yeah, and it. Yeah. PO Box 137. Honestly, this will be in the description down below. I don't know. I can't see the description. I mean, I could see it at the beginning of the video, but I just can't see it now in live stream mode. It's probably down in the description. Like I said, I just can't see it right now. But I'll just go ahead and post it here for you guys anyways. I'm just double checking a couple of things, making sure I got my PO box correctly put down, because I have not memorized the number or the combination because I'm just so new to this. So there's the address there. So if you guys want to send me stuff, I'd appreciate it, and I'll wear it in the videos or shout you guys out in the streams and stuff like that. So, or use it. I mean, if you guys want to send me anything, it doesn't have to be T-shirts and hats and stuff. It could be tools. It could be whatever. I mean, I don't care. Whatever you guys are willing to send me, put it that way. I'll use it. We'll use it in the videos. I'll wear it in the videos. I'll do whatever. Yeah, accepting whatever. I don't know if a brand new S780 combine could fit in a PO box, so I imagine a $400,000 check could, though. I imagine that would. Or a 24-row planter. I think a 24-row planter might not fit in the PO box. I don't know. Might be a little too big. Has my life changed? That's a really interesting question, Evan. Has my life changed really under quarantine? No. I mean, it's been pretty normal, really, with the farm. I mean, it's pretty interesting just not being able to walk really into a John Deere store or really be out and about as much as what we typically were. Necessarily, we don't get out too much as far as going out to eat and stuff like that, like constantly and stuff like that, like a lot of people do. But yeah, it's just weird. Not really being able to do stuff like that. And it's really all drive through and carry out. So it's kind of interesting on that. Haven't done any like Uber Eats or anything. I've never really experimented with that. I know my sister has over at my mom's, but or has she? I don't know. I'll have to ask her on that. I don't know if she did that night or not. Oh, with like seed customers and stuff like that. No, I mean, honestly, no. I mean, Nothing really changed under that. No. Um, I did pick up one on here through the live stream. Actually, you guys can go check out his channel. It's Dirt Crane and Steel. Brandon Shannon. I picked him up as a seed client, and that was actually pretty interesting. It was all basically the whole sale and everything was all done through uh, online, all through social media. So that was really interesting. Actually, I have another one up in Westville that's actually wanting to buy seed from us, hopefully for next year, and working on a couple others. So slowly expanding. I mean, if you guys are from LaPorte County or Porter County or Stark County and are interested in buying seed from us and don't buy any Pioneer currently and want to work with us, I'm totally open for that. So, yeah, if you guys are interested, yeah. Technically, we're in stage 3 right now, I believe, right? For Indiana right now, Kentucky. I think we're in stage 3 of what they're calling it, I believe. Thomas, yes, I do have T-shirts for sale. They're over there, and I really don't know if I want to get up and get them, but yeah, I do have T-shirts for sale. Website, you would have to copy and paste this link. I don't know if you can copy this or not, but you can type in Werner Farms on Google, and it should be like the second or third link down. I have a website. It's wernerfarmsin.com. So there's the website if you guys can copy and paste that. Otherwise, it should be down in the description down below. I have t-shirts, I have sweatshirts, should have hats later this year. Gonna have different color varieties also. Right now it's this gray. It's not this color gray. It's more of like a dark charcoal gray, kind of like this color. I will have a variety of color of hats. Basically, they're probably gonna look similar to this, not with the logo off, maybe with the logo off to the side or with the logo in the center. Might have 2 different varieties and a few different color options. Question is though, do you guys like the mesh back or do you guys like the full on non-mesh back? Let me know. I'll be doing some polls on that, and also some color choices for shirts and sweatshirts and stuff like that also. Later on when I get low on these shirts and these shirts and sweatshirts, I'll kind of start getting orders put together for that. I might do a variety of with mesh and no mesh because I know it's kind of a variety thing. Personally, it doesn't bother me. I actually overall preference probably like the mesh back. Just seems to be a little bit more breathable, really. But yeah. But yeah, like I said, if any of you guys watching this stream right now, I know there's like 66 of you in here right now, which I appreciate you guys tuning in. If any of you guys are from Porter County, Indiana, LaPorte County, Indiana, Stark County, Indiana, and are interested in working with us on seed, let me know via email, reaching out to me, and can't even think of the name of it, guys. Instagram, Instagram DM, Snapchat, Facebook message me. I don't care. If you want to reach out to me anyway, shape or form, go ahead. Even if it's a letter in the mail, letter in the PO box, I'm totally fine with that. So I'd be totally open to working with any of you guys. Why did my phone go to Netflix? I didn't even click Netflix. Oh, geez. So we'll go ahead and actually run this stream till about 10:45, if not 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, I will end the stream for sure. But we'll run this till about 10:45 here, unless we pick up again on some discussion. So what's the closest store to me? Store as in, kind of elaborate on your question, Thomas. Not sure exactly how to answer that one. 800 acres. That's pretty cool, Kentucky. Grocery store, like closest one, Valpo. Well, I don't know. I mean, probably Valpo. I mean, Valpo's stores are probably the closest to like Meijer and Walmart and stuff like that. How things are going? Basically, I don't know. Kind of a little wet. Not really too bad. Stands are okay on corn and beans. They're not the greatest. They're decent. For us, it's pretty good. A lot of replant. We've only got about 2 acres of corn and 2 acres of beans, fortunately. But yeah, so going good, just going slow, just waiting for crops to get up to a certain stage so we can start side dressing and doing some more post-emerge spraying. So, but yeah, that's basically what is up. So, what size heads do you guys run, Nick, in Kentucky? What size heads do you guys run on your combines? Are they drapers, augers, 35s, 40s, 45s? Yeah, there's from the way it sounds, quite a few guys are going to be replanting, especially in our area. Stuff looks pretty rough. Um, a lot of flooded out spots and a lot of areas that still have water standing. So what's also on that note, Kentucky and Nick, if Nick's still in here, what is the highest wheat yield you guys see down in your guys' area? Or what's considered high wheat yield? 40-foot draper, nice. 35-foot drapers, the same as us. McDon case, John Deere. Well, obviously, probably not John Deere on a 8250 combine, but McDon or case. Well, really, McDon and case are about the same thing or close to it. McDon, nice. FD75 or FD1 or I probably am what an FD75 I assume or FD1 I would think. I don't think he probably would run an FD70. FD140, nice. That's a nice head. I really like that. Yeah, would like to have one this year, but eventually, yeah, with larger pieces of equipment for sure, like a larger grain cart or a larger vertical till. Duals will go back on the 8530, but not right now. What size McDon do you run, Nick? 40-foot also? Really? You guys have a frost warning? Wow. That's crazy. So pretty parallel to what we run. Yeah, that's exactly like that is too parallel for comparison there. Yeah, 80 to 100, and yeah, our best wheat yield was about 128. Basically, what we consider high yield is 125. Basically, if you're not hitting over 100, then you're doing something wrong, really. Not necessarily doing something totally wrong, but it's kind of if you're not hitting 90 to 100 bushel wheat at least, it's not really the greatest. But typically, we consider poor wheat yield around 65 to 75, depending on the year, but mostly 65 to 75. And same for double crop bean yields. The highest we've seen right there is 60, and double crop beans are just icing on the cake. So yeah, so 45 to 60, so pretty parallel to what we run then. 35. Okay, yeah, that's right. 35-foot head. So is that like an FD70 or FD1 or FD75 even there, Nick? And what would you say down in your guys' area? Do a lot of guys run McDonald's, or is it a lot of John Deere or dealer equipment head, like equipment brand heads? So, like, say a lot of guys running John Deere combines, running Deere heads, or a lot of guys running Case combines, running Case heads. Typically, from what I've seen, it seems like a lot of guys running Case heads run McDon head, or Case combines run McDon heads. So if I had the option to pick a new tractor right now, brand new, Evan, basically I would consider like an 8370R, or an 8R 370, something like that. Necessarily don't think a road like an 8RX is necessary for our operation. I mean, yeah, an 8RX would be pretty sweet, but I'm just looking at maintenance overall, like as far as tracks go and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, an 8RX would be sweet, but I'm just looking at overall, just looking at our operation really. I mean, yeah, like I said, an 8RX is sweet, but I don't know. It just seems that it just, I don't know. I don't know. I just, not that I wouldn't turn down a free 8RX, but I don't know. 8R 370, I think that'd be a nice tractor. Really sweet tractor to have. What is my favorite piece of equipment on the farm? 8530 is pretty fun. I like running that a lot. 4020 is really fun. 4650, I like them all. The only one I don't like a lot is that 4230. I just don't like the 4230. Even I like the sprayer setup. I love the sprayer setup. It's sweet. I just don't like the 4230. I'm just not a fan of that tractor. I know it's just because it has a lot of hours on it, and it's just been rode pretty hard before we bought it, and it just seems to throw fits. That's why I just don't like it a lot. I don't know. It just, I don't know. Lots of McDonald's. Yeah, that's why I assumed down in your guys' area. It seems to be mostly dealer heads up here. A lot of guys running John Deere heads run John Deere combine, or a lot of guys run John Deere combines run John Deere heads, or run Case combines run Case heads. A few guys up here like us run McDonald's. Personally, we really like the McDonald's, and a lot of guys up here like the McDonald's. So, yeah. So, who's your Deere dealer down there? Hudson, or is it what is it called? What's the other one down there? It's what not well, Hudson probably is in your area. Tennessee Tractor, yeah, that's the other one. Yeah. What's the other one? I can't think of the name of it. It's pretty sure there's a third one down there. It's not just Tennessee Tractor and Hudson. I can't think of it. It's can't put my finger on it. I'm pretty sure there's one more. I don't know. I keep thinking there's one more. I might be wrong. I know some of you guys are probably wondering if we're getting a demo from our John Deere dealer at all again. That is TBD. I don't know what his. I don't know. Our salesman. We've known our salesman for a long time, and actually, I was going to get an 8245R on demo with the applicator. Actually, it was going to be on the drill, and I don't know what the deal was. They've got like 60 of these 8245Rs to sell, and he wanted me to help promote them. And I said, yeah, bring one out. I'll run it on the drill. And he was all psyched, and I was pretty psyched to run one because I've never run an 8R before, as far as like a newer 8R. And I've been in them. I've just never drove one. And these were going to have power shifts in it. So that'd be my first time with the newer style power shifts and stuff like that, because the newest style power shift that I've run is what's in the 4650, so a 1983 tractor. So he was going to bring out, pretty positive it was going to be either a 2016 or a 2018 8245R. And I don't know what his deal was on that. It never ended up happening. And then he made some comment when we came over to look at the applicator before they brought it over the next day that, well, I should just bring this out on an 8245R and let you demo it. And he caught himself after he said that, and he wouldn't say nothing. And I'm like, Matt, yeah, seriously, why wouldn't you just do that? I mean, that would be pretty cool. Bring that out on a new track. Well, not a new tractor, but a newer used tractor. But he's been after us for the past 6 or 8 months now to trade the 4650 in on an 8245R, which I don't know. It just, as of right now, I don't want to do it. And yeah, it would be nice to run an 8245R or have an 8245R on the farm, but I don't know. It just doesn't economically make sense at this time right now. So I'm more leaning towards a high clearance sprayer. Now, if you would bring me out a Haggy STS-12 with 100 or 120 foot booms, I'd be all game for that. I'm running alongside the Oxbow sprayer that we're going to be demoing. If you guys even caught that. I don't know if you guys caught that when I was doing the polls on the questionnaire on the what the new piece of equipment and the new demo was going to be. But yeah, we're going to be demoing a Oxbow sprayer. Not sure what model, not sure exactly what boom width. I imagine it's going to be pretty similar to what Brian got to demo. I'm actually going to be dealing with the same dealer that Brian demoed, Shipshalana. And no, I'm not going to be getting a spreader like he did. I'm just going to get a sprayer. They didn't necessarily come to me, and I didn't necessarily go to them. It was more just us discussing the sprayer at the Fort Wayne Farm Show, and they kind of threw it out there. It's like, well, we can bring one out on demo, and I said, heck yeah, I mean, that'd be pretty cool. And then we got into talking about the YouTube, and they didn't realize I had a YouTube channel, and then they were really, really excited about doing it. So yeah, so that kind of just blossomed from there, and they wanted to bring it out now, like literally right now. And for me, not running a high clearance sprayer ever, and Dad never really being around a high clearance sprayer either, we didn't want to try doing any post-emerge spraying with it as far as with corn. So we figure after wheat harvest, we'll have him bring it out, and when we're doing double crop beans and just playing with it with water and just some Roundup then, and playing with it then and getting used to it. So but yeah, we're going to be demoing one of those, either 100 or 120 foot boom. Not sure on the model of it. I'm pretty sure it'll probably be like a 7550. But yeah, that'll be pretty awesome. So only demo that I know of this year that's going to happen. Don't know of any others. I'd be open to doing more, but I don't have any, as far as I know, lined up right now. I've got a couple of sponsorships that are actually coming together for next year. Some are actually correlating with a potential purchase for next year, and some I'm actually penciling out right now. So it's kind of all up in the air at this point on stuff that's going on. Werner Farms, do you have a video of a farm tour, or have you not done a farm tour yet? So technically, Porter, I do have a farm tour part 1 and part 2 out. They're not the greatest. They're actually pretty long. It's actually back when I first started my channel, so that's why probably a lot of you guys have not seen them. Not necessarily back when I first started, but back when I started doing the vlogging. But I will be doing an updated farm tour, an equipment tour, and a grain bin tour, because you guys want to see the bin site, I know, pretty badly, later this summer for sure. So I've done an office tour. If you guys want to see a tour of the office, you guys can hunt for that on my channel. But yeah, So would you buy a Miller Nitro sprayer? I don't know. To be honest, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of them. I'm still kind of questioning that. We'll go ahead and end the stream at 11 for sure. So, but back to the sprayer. Yeah. Hey, see you, Tim. Thanks for stopping by. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I like them and I don't like them. It's just kind of one of those things. So I'm not sure. As far as boom width goes, 100 or 120. I'm not going to screw around with 80 or 90. Even Dad agrees. He's like, you know what? 100 or 120 would be really nice. How's it going, Casey? Thanks for stopping by. 100 or 120 foot booms for sure. Really, I have no boom preference as far as front boom or rear boom. Dad kind of likes the idea of a front mount boom. I kind of like the idea of having a rear boom just because less product on the sprayer and equating to less rust. So as far as what sprayer I'm kind of looking at, R4038. I really like the looks of the R4038s. Really liking the looks of the John Deere R4030s and R4038s. I'm not sure if I'm liking the idea of an R4030 just because it's an 800 gallon. And right now on our sprayer setup, we have a 300 gallon poly tank on the rear on the 3-point and two 250 gallon ag chem tanks, saddles on the sides. So that puts us at 800 gallon right there. But it's one of those things where, you know, you want to increase your tank capacity while you increase your boom size. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like I'd rather go with the R4038 just because it does increase your tank capacity. So, yeah. And the only reason why I'd want to go with an R series John Deere, if we were to go with John Deere as a spray brand, or a sprayer brand, I should say, not spray brand, is just because I've talked to some guys, quite a few guys actually, on this, and they recommend, not saying that the 30 series is a bad series, they're just saying there's a lot of improvements done between the 30 series and the leeway period there where they came out with the 4940, which I've heard mixed thoughts on the 4940 to begin with there too, and going into the R series. So there's been a lot of improvements there done. So yeah, that's why I kind of would lean towards the R series for if we go with the John Deere. So we got a leased a 9RX, but we can't use it because of all the rain. Holy cow. So what size 9RX? It's pretty interesting. So the only nice things about front mount sprayers is that you can drive the corners and you can see everything. So necessarily you could drive the corners with the rear mount boom. It's just a kind of a different perspective type deal. But yeah, visibility is probably the biggest thing. Visibility, and I can't really think of anything else really on a front mount sprayer. But yeah, probably typically a lot of guys run 90 to 100 or 90 to 120 around here. Personally, why I would go with 120 over 100 is necessarily not that it's a big deal, but I would want to match planting passes. So say with a 60-foot planter, you're going to end up having 120-foot end rows. Go right through and do 120-foot end rows on. And necessarily you don't have to match 9620 RX. That's pretty impressive. Excuse me. And basically, I know it's not a big deal not having to match or having to match. So I just feel it's a little bit easier for spraying on end rows and stuff like that, with having pass for pass matching with the planter. So yes, I know we have a 40-foot planter right now, and I know we only do 80-foot end rows. But in the near future, here in like 4 years, we're gonna end up going to a 24 row. So it's just one of those things where you just got to look down the road and look at the future. Basically, is what your operation is going to be looking like. So yeah, I mean that's part of what we're doing with the 30s this year, Kentucky. Basically, if these 30s work out really well, can in all seriousness, that's one of the things I'm actually looking at penciling out right there for next year for a purchase for me, actually personally, that I would be personally making is a 16 row 1770 NT. Got my eye on an '07 that's around 40 some $1,000, reconditioned row units and everything, so it looks really really nice. Bar looks really good. Actually has a 500-gallon tank on it. We actually have a 300-gallon in-furrow tank, an extra one that we bought on auction last year. No, not DB60. Even though it kind of contradicts what I just said. DB60 necessarily, I don't think we need a DB60 for beans. I yeah, I don't know. It's kind of like I'm contradicting myself on corn versus beans here on productivity efficiency here for comparing a 24 row or going from a 16 to a 24 row to increase overall efficiency there. But saying that I don't think we need a DB60 for beans. It's just I don't think I would like to step into a DB60 for beans if it was cheap enough to get into one. But I just don't feel 100. I mean, I think the price range I looked at for DB60s is anywhere between $80,000 to $160,000 reasonably used price. Whereas you can buy a 40-foot 1770 NT central fill for sure, Nick. Yeah, definitely central fill. For a dime a dozen, pretty much it seems like, and reconditioned row units on some of these, and strip it down and put whatever you want on it. Basically, what I would want to do is make it like set up exactly like what we have our planner to a point. So, but yeah, I understand. Like I just said there, Evan. I'm kind of contradicting myself on row matching there or end row matching. Yes, I know it's 11 o'clock. We're just going to kind of run it as it goes here. I know. But yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I feel it matters to a point, but then it doesn't matter. It's spring. I mean, you're going to have section control to begin with. So I don't know. 120 would be nice just to cover more acres, really. But 100 would be, you can get by with 100 no problem. So, like I said, it's not a necessity to have to match your sprayer with your planter or match your planter with your sprayer. I mean, I'm just saying, it would be kind of nice. But for corn, yeah, it would be really nice. For beans, not so much. I mean, it's nothing. I feel it's not too big of a deal, but there again, I don't know. You're going to have section control on the sprayer. So, I mean, I don't know. I keep contradicting myself, but it's one of those things, 100 to 120 foot booms. So, one of those two for sure. But back to the bean planter, though. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I'm working on weighing the options on there. I mean, if this does really take off and we see a huge benefit, and I mean huge, if we do see this, then I'm going to look seriously really hard into swinging that purchase, which I did the math the other day. And honestly, with the payments and everything and the cost savings and the return, if we see the return that we do, I could very, very easily swing it, no problem. and walk away smiling really very easily for the next 4 or 5 years really on the payment, because basically I just run it on a 4 year thing, just like how I have this applicator run on right now. But uh, I mean, if we're seeing like 80 to 90 bushel yield for sure, consistent, even on the dry land, then I'm definitely going to look into saying, screw the drill, use it. We'll keep the drill definitely for planting wheat and rye if we continue with wheat, which I highly doubt, but definitely for rye, and then look at doing all 30-inch row beans. Now, granted, the big factor Dad and I are looking at, or at least mainly I am, uh, personally, is weed pressure on these beans on 30-inch rows. We're 7.5, so split row 1631, 15-inch row beans. I don't know. At first, that's what I wanted to go to, but then I got to thinking with a sprayer, yeah, you can plant them on an angle and spray straight, or if you plant them straight and spray straight, you're going to be running over a row of beans. It's just one of those things. Or there again, you can match your sprayer with your planter and plug those rows, or not even have those rows on the planter, and do have wheel tracks there for the sprayer to follow. Basically, that's an option. But for me, you could do, that's where 20-inch row beans came into an option, and do something like what Larson's do, Larson Farms, if you follow them, and spread the rows out for 24 inches and basically match your planter with your sprayer then also. But I just feel 30s would just work so much better, especially for side dressing them then, because then, you can flow right in from side dressing corn to beans. There again, though, if you're just going to be running if you're going to be running thiazole and then switching to corn and running 28 thiazole and micros versus, on beans, you're going to be running thiazole and micros, unless we end up adding 28 into the program, which could be a possibility. I mean, I doubt, but that could be a possibility someday. Never say never on that. But you're going to end up having to change orifices between just running straight thiazole and then going to 28 and thiazole. So. Man, we're having some pretty good discussion tonight, that's for sure. I mean, my thing is, my grandpa's really questioning it. I know he's a really big fan of the drill. I know Dad was a really big fan of the drill. I personally didn't understand why we never tried 30s before or earlier, because seed cost savings. Probably the biggest thing that got my eyes opened up about 5 years ago was, water hemp and mare's tail basically is weed pressure. And, that is my biggest concern right now. But I guess my thing is if you have a really good residual program, you shouldn't really have an issue. But you never know. But if we can my thing is, your population won't vary. It seems like between 15s to 30s. I think it's roughly going to be about the same, regardless. It seems like on population. Basically, the way I see it, we can save thousands of dollars on seed costs. I ran the numbers the other day, along with penciling out a 40-foot bean planter. But it just seems to make more sense to run 30s for us, at least, just with the versatility, and plus resale and stuff like that. You got to factor that into. Not to say that 15s and 20s resale value sucks overall. I'm just saying in our area, it's more common to run, 7.5s, 15s, or 30s. So it's just one of those things where it's like if you end up with a 20-inch row bean planter and 5, 7 years down the road, you decide, I want to go with something different. You might be ending up sitting on it. Not to say that, if you advertise it well, somebody won't buy it. It's just one of those things where it's a niche market, you're going to end up sitting on it. And I really don't want to have to deal with that in our area, basically, and have to deal with that, like what we did with the strip till. So, I hated that. I hated dealing with the strip till, sitting on that for 6 years, and I hated sitting on the 9400 for the time that we did. I thought that would sell pretty quick, and it actually didn't. It took quite a bit of time to sell that. So with a bigger seed tender in the future, yes, I would like to buy a second one actually and use the one we've got as one for customers, because our customers actually use that one frequently. Basically dedicate that one as a second one for customer use only then, and for obviously doing test plots also then. But I would seriously, strongly consider getting a different seed tender. Not obviously next year, but a fairly large one. Not just due to the fact that we farm a boatload of ground, which we don't. We don't farm 5,000 acres and need a 500 bushel seed tender. Yeah, a 500 bushel seed tender would be pretty sweet, but we don't need a 500 bushel seed tender at all by any means. I would say around a 300 bushel seed tender would be nice, just due to the fact that when we end up doing rye cover crop seeding for ourselves, which I'll explain later in a future video, hopefully later this year if we end up purchasing this little unit. We're going to do this last year, but didn't take the time to do it. But this year, hopefully we do. Look at buying a cover crop seeding unit and basically having the ability to have 300 or 350 bushel rye sitting in a field and say over at the river, and not basically having it full and having that much rye sitting there and available to you for basically seeding all day. And so stuff like that. You just got to think about, things like that. Not that we need, 350 units of seed sitting in a box or sitting in a tender, but if you could put like 4 boxes of beans in there at one time, that would be really nice. So white mold is kind of spotty in our area. It can be an issue and it can't be an issue. It's kind of like SDS, sudden death. It's kind of like one of those things where you got to know your location and know your fields, because it can vary very easily. And we've got for us overall, we've got low white mold pressure in some fields. Some we've got high. We've got some basically same thing for SDS also. I can't say across the board we have high pressure, and I can't say across the board we've got low pressure. Same for SDS. It varies per field. But yeah, so 30s really shine when they're in white, where there's a white mold problem. I've actually heard that one before also from some guys. But yeah. No, that's what I'm afraid of, Kentucky, is weed pressure. I don't know. We're putting down a pretty good residual program. Basically the same. We're running the exact same program as what we are on our drilled beans anyway. So it's nothing dramatically different at all. It's the same program. So because one, we don't want to have increase in chemical costs there, and two, keep it the same and kind of do a comparison there. So technically we will have a fair comparison there, on the drilled versus the 30s, just not in the same field. But at least we'll have a herbicide comparison there overall of our acres on 30s versus 7.5s. That's an interesting thought there on buying one 60-foot planter. Yeah, you could. My only thing with that is, and I know some of you guys would say the same thing on our 40-foot planters, why don't you just plant corn and beans with it at the same time if you already have the meters? Well, my thing is, if you want to start planting corn or start planting beans and end up wanting to switch to corn, but then you want to switch back to beans, for us, it's not as easy as just swapping the meters out. You're going to have to go through and swap orifices out and change some settings and do all that, and it ended up turning into a half-a-day job to switch the planter back and forth. And my thing is, it would just be so much easier just to have 2 planters set up, one for corn and one for beans. And in some cases, you could be running 2 planters on corn and 2 planters on beans if you actually wanted to and got in a pinch, because both planters would be essentially set up the exact same, roughly. To a point, basically 2x2x2 fertilizer and in-furrow, so nothing too dramatically different there. So, but yeah, so that's why I feel 2 planters, just if you want to be planting corn and beans at the same time. Not to say that you can't cover the acres, obviously, with a 60-foot. Obviously, you can knock out a boatload of acres with a 60-foot, but I'm just saying, if you want to run both at the same time, you kind of are in a stalemate there, so with just one planter. So do I miss it? No. I personally am pretty glad that we don't have that 9400 anymore. Well, we're going to go ahead and start winding the discussion down, and I really appreciate all you guys for swinging by on this short notice stream. We're going to go ahead and definitely have a stream Monday, and also have one, Sunday or Monday. More than likely Sunday. Like I said earlier, I will have the discussion board questions posted on the community tab. Be sure to give this a like on the way out, and I really appreciate all you guys for watching. So we'll wind the discussion down and definitely end this at 11:20 for sure. So last minute discussion. I'm going to scroll through the comments one last time and see if I missed anything. So man. As far as the stream goes, John, probably around the same time, 8:30, 8 o'clock Sunday night, if not Monday night, just depending on the stream. So, or day and everything, what goes on. So we'll just have to see. Play by ear, basically, like what we always do. So yeah, we'll definitely end this at 11:20. Be sure to like this stream on the way out. I really appreciate it. If you do, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe also. Be sure to check out the Werner Farms website and be sure to order your Werner Farms merchandise. And if you want to be featured on the live streams or on the YouTube channel, and you guys got merchandise of your own, or you want to send me any products or stuff like that, like what these guys did, Penland and Farm Life, South Dakota, shout out to both of those guys. P.O. Box is listed down below. So if you guys want to send me like tools, products, merchandise, anything of that good nature, stuff like that, feel free to send me any of that stuff, and it'll be all featured either in the live stream or YouTube videos. So, and you guys will be plugged and shouted out for that stuff. So, yeah. So I'll look forward to any of that stuff. Like I said, I check that once a week. just kind of see if anything's kind of getting sent in there. I'm just getting started with that PO box thing. I've had that for a couple of weeks now, so yeah. So with that, check the comments again. Like I said, just kind of double check I'm not missing any of you guys. So I'll hit that again. You know, if I missed anything from you guys posting anything on here that I accidentally scrolled over, save it for the next stream. I'll be sure to hit it there on that one. Next video, Sunday at 10 o'clock for sure. I'll have a video out from tomorrow, or a video I'll film tomorrow and put out on Sunday for you guys. And as stuff gets closer here to side dressing and more spraying action and stuff like that, and wheat harvest here, a lot more videos for sure coming out. So definitely. Yeah, Jen, we do have hay, not for ourselves. We do have 26 acres, and we rent that out to a neighbor. And they actually already have done first cutting, and the neighbor that actually rents out the baling to another neighbor, one of which that I've actually went to school with. So they do the baling for him, and basically they rent the ground, and he rents the ground from us. So it's just kind of a circle thing there. Potentially we will have more acres in alfalfa next year also. So I wouldn't mind having another at least 5 acres in alfalfa then. So, well, like I said, we're going to go ahead and end it here at 11:20. I really appreciate you guys for stopping by in the stream. Be sure to give this a like on your way out. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below. Don't forget to order your merchandise. Link is down below. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Snapchat. Oh, I do have a Twitter, but I don't have that link down below, I don't think. I'm not really, never really have been. Yeah, PO box is also linked down below if you guys want to send me stuff. And like I said, next video stream more than likely Sunday around 8:30, and if not earlier. If not, we'll shoot for Monday for sure. Discussion board questions for that will be up tonight or tomorrow that you guys can post for that stream. And I will catch you guys in the next video and next live stream. Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for stopping by. Thanks.